Hey, what's up, everyone? This is David Greenspan, and you are listening to Season 2 of the Mindshare Podcast, a proud member of the Industry Syndicate Media Network. Additional podcasts are available at mindshare101.com and on all the major podcast platforms. This week's episode is sponsored by Kit's Keep in Touch Systems. Now, if you haven't yet, be sure to go to my website, mindshare101.com, click on marketing, and learn more about the powerful cross-channel marketing suite that will help you build more mindshare in 2021. I also want to once again start off by thanking every single one of you who continue to tune into the show every single week. I am grateful that you are here and grateful to be able to help you go to your next level. I also want to share that we're running a little contest. We're pushing to get to 100 reviews on iTunes. So here's how this works. Go to iTunes, rate the show, leave a review, and you will be entered into a draw to win a free month of one-to-one coaching with me. Today's episode is number 109. He's been in the real estate business his entire professional life, which spans 5 decades. Now, that sounds like he's old, but on the contrary. He began in real estate sales in his college days, then went on to management, investments, and then to building and owning a brokerage for 21 years. Now, as a coach, he believes the real estate business is based on being who you are personally and who you are as a professional. He says that professional and personal lives can come together in our work, so it's important to have a personal mindset and structure to get started. His goal is to have his clients, new or experienced agents, get over the hill. Most people are in this ever-revolving path of just enough rather than abundance. This means they never allow themselves to get uncomfortable with growth, which means they may not grow. His work is based on building a structure for each agent of decision to commitment, courage, capacity, and confidence. He says that when these exist, we are able to build the ultra-desirable business every agent says they want to achieve, rather than languishing in lack and want. He focuses on differentiation, structure, preparedness, and innovation. On this episode, I am joined by my friend and colleague, Mr. Dave Fanale. Dave, welcome to the Mindshare Podcast.
Thanks so much. I'm excited. This is great. I mean, that's a. I didn't know there was so much on that, but that's cool. That's really what it's all about, man.
Hey, man, we asked for bios, we asked for photos. This is what we get. We wordsmith a little bit for you, but it's certainly impressive stuff, man. And we've gotten to know each other over the past couple of years now.
Yeah.
And it's sort of from the day that we met back in San Fran, it's never really stopped in terms of line of communication.
Never.
Certainly grateful for all the effort and all the the great stuff that you put into this industry. I think it's you're one of the pillars that helps make the industry a better place.
Thank you.
So I'm certainly excited to have you here on the show today, man. And listen, we finally made it happen.
Yes, we did. We did.
I still had to get that one in, brother. And trust me, I brought my hat as well.
Awesome. I got mine. I had another one. Wait a minute. I got another one.
I got them both. I couldn't wear them both at the same time, so I chose not to wear one today.
I'm with you. We're together. All right, cool.
Yeah, brother.
All right. Love it,
man. So here's the deal. We as we were talking about, what are we going to talk about today? We talked about how to make your brand stand out, and that was really the thing. We talked about the art of differentiation, and I think it's interesting. It's an interesting topic today because, look, we're definitely not going down the road of anything else that's happening from the outside factors that are going on right now. Because much like religion and politics, I say COVID is one of those that has now hit that part where it says, like, just let it be. Everybody's got their own opinion. You can't win this game. But I will say this. We live in a society of sheeple. A fear of standing up, a fear of standing out, a fear of being different. And nobody ever really wants to be the one that says, look at me, and I'm going to be the one to stand up. Nobody wants to be wrong. Nobody wants to be that one that, is painted as the black sheep, right? Now, we take that from the sense of maybe a little bit of a negative connotation when I say black sheep, but I want to turn this around to that whole thing of, again, a society of sheeple and just that fear of standing out, that fear of standing up. But one thing that you and I know, and one thing that most successful people realize, is that when you want to win market share, you need to build mind share. So I always ask the question of, why you? And that's not directed at you, Dave, but just in general, like, why you? So tell me this, like, why is it so important to be different and not afraid to stand out?
It's really simple. I mean, first of all, let's look at it this way. You said that people are afraid to stand out. They're afraid to be different. What's the worst that could happen?
I could be wrong. I'm going to play devil's advocate with you because I love it, right?
Good. Let's do that.
I could be wrong. Like, what if they don't like me? What if they don't agree with me? What if they're mean
It's their problem, not yours.
But what if they're mean to me? Right? Because we know there's a lot of, what do we call them? Keyboard tough guys, right? They're like that guy. We say them, they're like that guy on the ice in hockey that has the full cage on in men's league that runs around hacking everybody, but never wants to take his cage off and actually do what he's got to do. He just runs around hiding. That's what you get a lot from social media. So there's a fear there that says, well, if I say something that people don't agree with, I'm going to get lambasted. And it's like, it's public. It's not even like this is just me and one other person talking right now.
Right. So I start with that question, and it's something we've been working on in our groups that we work with Sekou and Sekou Pile. And it's, what's the worst that could happen? What's the best thing that could happen? And what's most likely to happen? I mean, if you look at it that way, but if you forget the last two questions, what's the worst thing that could happen? They don't like you. They put a stupid comment up, or they criticize you. You need to look at that as a positive, because if you don't have people hating on you, you're doing something wrong, right? If people are going to criticize you in a negative manner, you don't have an argument with them. You say, it's unfortunate you don't agree with me. It's unfortunate that you have that opinion, or whatever it is. Look, to stand out is to do what others aren't willing to do, right? And we know, Dave, that we're looking at probably a 90-10 rule. 90% of the people are okay to go ahead and get that, as I said, just enough, right? It's and they're going to live in the world of lack and want.
I'm
right?
listening to you. Yeah.
Right. So people will do business in that 90% by luck. There are people have to have a decent business that will admit to you, if they're smart and if they're honest, that they're doing it mostly by luck. Okay, so they had a few deals, somebody referred somebody else. They're not keeping in touch with people. So the art of differentiation is basically using simple systems and modern tools to build a business to stand out, right? What
okay,
does that
so
look
so
like?
so just before that then, but it's easy to say, right? It's easy to say,
Sure.
just do it. I mean, Nike said it, and I think Nike was bang on right about it, right? But there is that next step of, like, we hear it, and this goes down to the neuroscience of it all, right? That limbic system, that middle part of our brain will say, I get what you're saying. I can emotionally attach to what you're saying. But physically, I can't get there, and instinctively, I can't get there. I'm still scared. Something is still holding me back from going, yes, I will post that photo of my dog, or yes, I will go ahead and comment on that thread that maybe I don't agree with, or maybe that thread that I just want to add some of my 2 cents into in a positive, constructive way. I'm just scared of being wrong.
Okay.
You know where I'm going there?
Yeah. So here's the thing, man. I mean, if you're afraid of being wrong, I think you need another business.
Okay.
Right? If you're afraid of saying what you think and having an opinion, I think you need another business. I'll give you an example, right? So one of the things that I talk about being different is doing market statistics videos. Do live videos. Do it in the town square, or if your niche is a geographical area, there's got to be a well-known building, a well-known site, something. Do it in front of that so people will stop their scroll and say, hey, there's that guy doing that market thing in front of there, right? It's different. It's going to stop them, right? And what I tell people is, you can do market statistics. I mean, we've seen everybody do this, but who's going to have an opinion? So, the market changed over the past year over year, where there's, it went up 3%. And then we saw that last month it went down 3%. Then what that means is have an opinion. Have an opinion, because nobody else is going to have that opinion. People will stop and watch you because they're real. And when you keep doing it, I learned from Grant Wise, the parasocial relationship. When you keep doing it, they're going to stop and watch what you're doing, right? So when they stop and watch what you're doing, what does Fanale have to say? What does Greenspan have to say, right? Who cares if you're right or wrong? You have an opinion. We have an opinion. We were talking off camera before about social and what it is and how it works and stuff and how it's this, it's that. That's our opinion. I have several rules for social, and I coach these. No politics, no alcohol, and now no COVID. Right. So look, you and I have our opinions. I don't know what yours is. You know what? I care in this case. I care what your opinion is because it matters to me. My opinion. I'm open. I'll tell anybody what my opinion is about it. I won't tell anybody about my politics. That's private to me, right? Alcohol thing, that's just, everybody knows we have fun. I don't need to put it out there in front of everybody. That's one of the
And
rules.
I agree with you on that too. There's a line to draw on the sand there, and I want to extend on that one in just a moment.
Cool.
But you said something there that is key, is that most people, and I talk a lot about most people don't have that opinion. Most people don't stand up and say. Most people are scared. I mean, how many times I've been on a stage and I'll be speaking to a group of people, especially when we're doing the tighter, smaller training sessions, right? You got 50, 100 people in a room, and you do a Q&A at the end. Why are you scared to post on social media? And what's the biggest common denominator out of it all is fear. Right. Okay. But knowing that most people have that fear. So now you want to build your brand. You want to stand out. You want to build a little bit more mind share. Just like you said, Dave, and to everybody tuned in, stand up, right? Stand up and do something, because you doing something, all of a sudden you can in some way, shape, or form become a leader, and leaders will always win more than followers, period. But you got to stand up.
We see so many people in politics get up and say stuff that we know they have no idea what the hell they're talking about.
Teleprompters.
Right? What's that?
Teleprompters.
Right. They're just reading it, and then they get lost in it, and they don't know what the hell to do. But let's talk about fear, right? So being different is just doing what the other person won't do. Having an opinion, right?
Yep.
How about the fear of making a mistake? Who cares? As a good buddy of mine said, Matt Allman from Social Networks in California, the imperfection is the connection. Okay? It's plain and simple. What is this thing? What is that? What is this laptop? What is an iPad? They're TVs. And what we are is doing some real stuff. This is reality TV right here, right? So I had an opinion earlier. I said, if you have the fear of doing this, get another job, get another thing, right? So let's take that fear and turn it around. So what happens if I mess up? Well, what happens if you make a great point and everybody shares it, right? So turn the fear 180 degrees. It makes sense.
That. Yeah, no, it totally makes sense.
So turn it around from a fear to, shit, this is what I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for this. I'm not going to go for the fear. Look, we all have fears. And Dave, you didn't start this podcast at episode 108, and this is the second one. This is 109, right? So, and we both have similar broadcasts. We do, and you know what? I go back and look at the first ones. I think they're pretty funny. It's just like I went back 14 years and I found one of my first videos. I think it's hilarious.
Man,
it's horrible.
It's funny though, because you put those out first. There's the first fear of putting out the first video. There's the fear of putting out the next one. Then you get into a rhythm and you start doing them and you think, yeah, it's all good. I look at videos I put out last week. I'm like, oh man, but I'll tell you, in the moment, it felt totally fine. Right.
I think about when I do a video, I think about how it's going to roll and how it's going to flow. The ones I do after I run in the morning, I've got a topic. I don't outline them like I should, but I've got a topic, right? Always have a topic.
Yeah.
And the thing that scares me is when I start my run and I don't have a topic, I'm hoping it comes to me during the run.
Yeah.
And it always does, right? It always does a clear, and it's not about real estate. It's about different things. But I'm taking a chance out there and I'm doing things that others won't. And you and I have discussed this a couple of times about what we do about consistency and doing our videos and being different. You see, it's one thing to do videos. It's another thing to be consistent what your plan in your head was when you first started it.
There's a big one. The word consistency.
Right.
I always say this. It's the magic ingredient to achieving anything you want in life. That's anything. It doesn't matter what it is. As long as you're consistent, you will achieve. I mean, you could be consistent with bad habits and you will get bad results. Like, you will achieve something. It may not be what you want, but it's going to happen because consistency, again, becomes that magic ingredient. Right. And so doing the run and having the fear, you've got an initial fear that you don't even have a topic. Then all of a sudden you get the topic and it's, let's go and do it. And now it just becomes innate in what you do as a process on a regular basis. And now, because of the consistency, you've now become somebody that people will pay attention to and follow because they're expecting this from you. Right. And then the fear dissipates and you're now able to move on to that next stage, that next, chapter in the evolution of what you're doing.
And just to talk a little bit more about fear in video, I mean, I don't know about you, man, but I'm doing those lives. I have a fear every time I start them.
Of course.
I do. And I've been doing it for 14 years, right? And then as I get started, I have a fear I'm going to go too long. I mean, it's just like you're going to do it. But back to what we're talking about as far as...
hold on, though. But and the same way I put out there recently, right? Fear is just a bullshit thought that's made up in our mind. Because it's the thought of something that may happen, and that's exactly where we're going, right? It's the thought of something that may happen that hasn't happened. It's just our imagination. So much the same, all of a sudden you press record, you do the live, you do your video, you get off. It wasn't that scary, was it?
So let's talk about that fear that you just talked about, right? That fear is all in your head.
Right.
It's the fear that you think someone else is going to see you as. So let's talk about that. If I could go off on a little bit of a road here.
But David, this is the point right here, right? Because again, to differentiate myself and stand up and be that person, again, black sheep brings a negative connotation. I love the black sheep personally, whatever, but that's a negative connotation on it. Let's just say be that person that stands up, that puts their hand up, that pokes their head out of it. That's the moment right there. And it all comes back to fear. This is why the brands don't stand out as much. This is why we don't get to that next level.
This is where you need to grow a pair in order to do different things to stand out. And that's what your brand is about. You want your brand to stand out. Pick how. It doesn't matter what. Maybe it's a gimmick that you have. Maybe it's an offer that you have. Maybe it's a hero story that you have, right? So let's look at it this way. Here's the point. It's all in your head. It's all what you think. Now, I know from my inside studies of myself that David Greenspan does not see David Fanale the way that David Fanale sees David Fanale. How do I know that? Quick little exercise. Walk into a mall. There's 100 movie theaters there, right? You walk in and there on a marquee is the story of Dave Fanale's life. I walk in. I sit down behind the person. There's one person in the theater. I sit behind that person. On the screen is all me. It's all about my life, how I see myself, how I think others see me, the whole thing. My kids, my wives, everything that's happened, right? I see it all. And I say, holy crap. I look at the person in front of me. It's me. I leave that theater. I go to the next theater. I don't look at the marquee. I don't know what it is. I sit behind the one person that's there. It's the story of my mother's life as she sees life. And I'm looking at it, and there's me. There's some of my friends. There's my siblings. But it's like, it's wrong. I'm saying to myself, this isn't me. That's not me. That's not my brothers. Interesting. And who's sitting there? It's her. I leave the theater. I go to the next one. It's the kid I grew up with. Growing up, I see me. I see him. That's not me. My point is that, and he's in the theater. You leave. Here's the point. Everybody sees things differently. They don't see it as you see it. A screw up could be a really valid point to them. A screw up might be funny, or they probably won't even see it. Just to bring that down to the level of a real estate agent making calls for sale by owners, what do you think that for sale by owner is going to do after you call? He's going to, if he hangs up on you and didn't like you, he's going to say, idiot, and that's the last time he's going to think about you. You're not gonna know them walking down the street. You're not gonna know them anywhere. You know, you could be sitting next to each other in a movie or at Starbucks. You're not gonna know each other. So that fear is unfounded. So my point is this: people see you not as you see you. They see you as they want to see you. That's why we have a difference of opinion in life.
I love the analogy. I agree with you completely because everybody sees it a different way. So then on that, the fact that we don't see it the same way, but I still have the thoughts in my head around what I am exuding, how I am building, what people are hearing, what they are seeing. So I'm constantly in this ever evolution of trying to figure out how do I make me better, because this is how I see me. And I know there's going to be some people out there that are listening to this going, well, I really don't care what they see. I know what I see. And look, there's two schools to that thought. One is good on you. Don't worry about everybody else. Focus on you.
Perfect.
The other school of thought says, well, if I'm so wrapped up in my head, in my mind, and I am not happy with what I see, what do we do to change that? How do we make that better? How do we just say to ourselves when we look in the mirror and say, hey, I'm looking at fear. I'm looking at the fact that I'm not happy. I've got to change something.
It's one step at a time, actually.
Okay.
It's one step at a time. It's blinders, putting blinders on. It's getting rid of the distractions in your life. We talked about distractions earlier, right? It's getting rid of it's deciding what's more important, your goal, your desires, or what others think. Is it you? Is it your kids? Is whatever you care about? Family, friends, whatever it is, what's most important to you, and put everything else away, because nothing else matters. If you think that this guy, your neighbor, cares about you the way you care about you and you care about your kids, you're nuts. So it's whatever you do, you put the blinders on and you try not to see it. Hey, I'm going to tell you something. I can talk about it. We all have the same issues.
It's so true. Everybody has it.
Right.
And that's coming right back to this thing about fear and about be the one to stand up. Be the one to say something. And it doesn't mean speak out and cause a firestorm somewhere. No. It doesn't mean put yourself in the line of fire.
So let's get back to the first question. What's the worst that could happen?
What is the worst that can happen? You're absolutely right. So let's take it there then, okay? Because, talking on the variety of topics that are almost non-negotiables to stay away from, okay, and go big picture on personal life, mixing it with business life, because reading through the bio and again, understanding you and understanding what you guys teach with real estate skill builders, I'm looking going, okay, if I want to mix my personal with my business, I've got to be very careful of what does my personal look like. And I'm going to speak very openly. And I know I've shared this before with people and on the podcast and from stages. So I've got no fear around sharing it anymore. Okay. But there was a time where in fact, we talked about this on one of our Mindshare, our Mindshare Masters, our event last week. We talked about it a little bit, just very briefly. And I don't know if it was delivered exactly the way I wanted to deliver it, but I'm going to try this one again. I used to get up, and when I first started Kits and I first started the business, and I was a hardcore sales guy, like coming from every sales course you could think of, marketing courses, school, you name it, I was sell. Like, let's go. Then it got to a point where I go, well, the people that I'm trying to sell to, they're a little bit older than me, and I got to kind of play the role. So what does the role look like? And at the time, we're doing a lot of corporate stuff and everything else. So what ended up happening, Dave, was it really boiled down to putting on, like a nice button-down, tucked-in shirt with a nice belt on, a nice pair of, dress shoes, a pair of black slacks, and that was what that was what it was about every day. Why? It was there to impress other people. It was there to show that I could walk into a room and look presentable.
Right.
Well, no shit. Like, I don't care for those dress shoes, and I don't care for those black slacks, and I don't care for that tucked in button down shirt. And I mean, when I say I don't care for it, I mean in this business day-to-day environment, I am so much more comfortable in a nice pair of jeans with a cool pair of kicks, a button down shirt, but maybe, untucked, but a nice shirt, sleeves rolled up just as so right now. That's where I feel more comfortable. Hell, how many people know me from wearing my hat, as often as I possibly. Hell, when you met me, I was on stage at NAR and I had my hat on. Right. Do you know the fear that comes from that, of trying to change the brand image, trying to get out there and be who I am in the most comfortable sense of me, but still going, will the world accept me? And for me, Dave, when now you can look at my Instagram and my everything else profiles that are publicly out there and available to anybody, and I'm sharing it right here on a podcast. But hey, yeah, I love my jeans. I love a Harley t-shirt. I love my motorcycle. I love my kids. I love my hockey. I love my baseball. And that's who I am. So I don't come off as the most polished, tucked in, button down shirt, suit and tie dude that maybe many people want. But the reason I bring this up is because we get to a point where we need to accept who we are. We need to be happy with who we are. We need to really live who we are to the fullest, that when we do look in that mirror, we are as satisfied as we possibly can be. And then take this full circle, get over the fear of what will they think about me. Because as many times as we heard it from speakers, coaches, books, lessons, YouTube videos, you name it, you've got to get past the fear, and you got to truly be happy with who you are. And once you accept who you are and you find your people will find you, and they will accept you as well.
Well, that's where you can use the word funnel, or you can use the word sieve, because you're gonna sift out all the stuff that aren't your people, and your message is going to get through to the people that really want to talk to you. I mean, you can tell who the people are if you do. I mean, when I'm doing my videos early in the morning, I'm doing them between 5:30 and 6:30 in the morning, and people do come on them, and it's like, wow, okay. So I talked to a guy last week I was a Century 21 franchisee for 21 years, and I never met this guy who had the top office in the state. I never met him. He's on my broadcast every morning. So we connected. We had a long conversation. It was like we knew each other for years, right? And we'll do stuff together, right? But it's like, okay, they saw what I'm saying is the people that are going to appreciate you and want to hear you are going to come through one way or the other. They're going to find you. Social media is necessary for that. Going out there and taking a chance and taking a risk on that fear is extremely important. And we're talking about building a brand. This is the part that nobody wants to talk about. They talk about, okay, well, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to be on social, you need to have a business page, yada, yada, yada. Well, how about going out there and doing things like, everybody says, do this post, do that post, go to this place, go to that place. No, how about being real? How about talking to people? How about asking them what's going on? How about being nice? There's a change.
Be nice on social media?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting concept.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Be nice. And stop freaking bragging. No one, the days of screaming and yelling of how great you are over, man.
You know, there's a big one, eh? It's again, when we come back to that, exactly that, of that blend between the personal persona of who you are versus the business persona of how you want people to perceive you. People really want genuine and authentic. People really, you want to find your people, because there's 8 billion people in this world. And when we look and say they're all going to be my clients, no, they're not. And I didn't have to say that for everybody to go, oh, wow, he's right. No, everybody agrees with that. Right. But it's again, putting yourself out there in a way where you go, look, this is who I am, and accept it, take it or leave it. And if you leave it, that's okay. We weren't meant to be.
Yeah.
And there's the big message though, right? Because again, when we look and say that blend between personal and business, it's not about, the big brand with the logo and the fancy car and the staring off into the sunset type thing. It's just about being who you are, because that's who people want to talk to. That's who people want to confide in. That's who people will trust.
So here's the thing about your brand, and people want to see who you are. I mean, think about it. I mean, people talk about referrals. They talk about testimonials. They talk about reviews, right? Does it really mean anything for you to have 5-star reviews on, let's say, Zillow here in the States, right? Does it matter? No. And I'm going to tell you why. If I go to, I don't know, my town, Carlstadt, New Jersey, and I type in real estate agents, I'm probably going to get at least 10 to 20 pages of every agent with 5-star reviews. How do I differentiate? I can't. But when you're talking to someone on the phone, or you run into someone and you're getting referred, or you're calling up for sale by owner, are expired, that's when they're going to look you up on social and they want to see who you are. If you've got 18 posts about how great you are, to me, I don't want to work with you because you're a bragger. I want to work with a person that's trying to help people. I want to work with someone that's doing the things that they should be doing to help people. That's where your brand is built. Your brand is built by verification of who you are and what you do, not necessarily about your posting is important because people want to verify you. But telling people what you did and how you did it, if it's a story and a cool story, that's cool. That will work.
I posted this up for our Mindshare Masters the other day. And again, it somewhat goes without saying, but it's one of those things you got to repeat sometimes is it's not about you. It's about them.
Yeah.
And when you think about your marketing, you think about your branding, it's what's in it for me. Well, don't make it for me. If it's about me, like make it about them. How am I going to help you? You ever had that feeling that they're just too big? Like, I don't want to deal with that person or that team or whatever. They're just too big.
Yeah, that kind of excites me, though.
How do you mean?
I want to communicate with them because they are big. You know what I mean?
Do you feel though that sometimes you might get lost in the noise because you're just getting pushed out like another cog?
Sometimes, yeah.
Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like, are they going to take that TLC and put it into you, or are they just too big?
Oh, as far as working as an agent in a big team?
Yeah, or you're the homeowner that's looking to maybe, buy or sell property, and you look at the really big, but you look at the way it comes off from a branding perspective. I'm not saying too big is bad.
No.
I'm saying that, again, the branding perspective of it says, I don't know if they're going to give me that personal touch that I really want because they're so big. They got so many people. It's like, why me? I'm just a small fish.
That's an advantage for solo agents, in my opinion.
I would agree with that completely. Right.
There's just so many things to look at when it comes to all of this stuff. It's individual. It's individual, and then it's group, and it's everything else. It's how your persona is going out there. I mean, a lot of times with what you're doing and what you're saying, you're saying the right things to the wrong people anyway.
How do I find synergy between who I really am and what I do for a living?
Where's your passion? Where's your passion?
It's in motorcycles and hockey and my kids.
Great. So if real estate is your business, how do you bring your passion into your business? You can do that simply by just look, here's the way I look at it. A lot of people there's still a lot of people out there, believe it or not, that don't understand that their personal Facebook profile is that much more important to their business than their business page. Right?
Oh my God, yeah.
So looking at David Greenspan's kids, the hockey rink that's not frozen yet, right?
It was frozen. It's kind of the swimming pool that we've been looking forwed to right now.
Wow, that's great. Just don't put a diving board in it because it ain't that deep.
Too cold to swim though.
So I see that stuff and that's a cool thing I like to see. You're a real person, and people that have a relationship with you get what you're doing, and people that don't will come and see it. They'll see that. How do you build the business into your personal life? It's how you passionize your business with your life. What does it mean? What is it doing for you? Do you have the support of your family, your kids, everybody? Do they get what you're doing? Are they interested in what you're doing? Got to be honest with you. As my kids grew up, I have two daughters, 30 and 28.
Yep.
And when they're in their early 20s and in college and stuff, and they'd see what I was doing, boy, did they love mocking me. It was great, right? But over the past few years, that mock has turned into admiration and to support. And they both helped me with different ideas and nuances, right? My client base is from 19 to 62. So I can span it all. And I hate to admit it, but I'm older than that 62. Right. But the thing
you rock it a hell of a lot younger, my man.
Thank you, sir. But what I say is, as you get older in this business, you kind of lose your passion. You kind of forget some skills that you have, and you don't give yourself the credit for what you've already learned. And this is another different thing that we try to do with my company is we try to, what I call upskill agents to understand that they know what they're doing. They just need to transform it. We build a bridge between training and coaching, and we get you to repassionize your life and your business to get through that ceiling, to get through over that hill that I talk about, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a matter of, that upskilling, that repassionization is about being different, because you know what? People have the fear of doing something different. I try to take people and say, look, this is going to be fun. Wait till you see the reaction that you get. It's going to make you smile. And what's going to happen is the thing that I want to happen for my own ego. Hey, Dave, it worked.
Yeah.
Happens to you too. I know it does.
Hey man, I'll tell you, you just said something a few moments ago there of with your daughters who they would mock and then it became normal. And it took me right back to when I first started Build Mindshare, and I was doing my videos, and I remember pulling up to hockey. One of my buddies was there. He was hanging out waiting. And as I got out of the car, he was basically using the lines that I said in my video to say something else to me. And then he said, it's because I build Mindshare. And look, when we get to hockey, 15 guys,
Yep.
we're all fathers with kids now, but we're like a bunch of little school kids when we get together, right? We're ripping into each other. We're poking at each other, but these are my boys. These are guys I've been playing hockey with for 20 years, every Thursday night. And I miss them dearly right now, right? Because this is COVID stuff. But I remember when they would be, kind of poking and mocking and whatever. It's gotten to a point now where you pull up to hockey and there will be a half a dozen of them rocking the exact hat, right? And now they're not mocking anymore. They're rocking my stuff because they see how serious it is. And so when we, again, bring that right back to this idea around fear, yeah, look, you get over it. You get past that stuff. You start to actually break that barrier of going, look, I'm going to do this. I'm going to dedicate myself to it. I'm going to make it something I do. People will begin to take you seriously. Absolutely. Because they will see that your passion exudes through it. And now they believe in your message.
Yeah, this is all. I mean, I keep bringing it back to what we started talking about with branding and everything else. I mean, it's what do you do? Do you like what you do? If you don't, well, okay, make a change. But if you like what you do and you did it, you got into it for the right reason, and your why is big enough, and your why is going to be big enough. I mean, there's people that in the business that you don't have to like everything you do. I remember my dad told me once. My dad was a dentist, and he said to me, he says, David, do you think I like everything I do every day? No, we're not going to like everything we do, but here's a little tip for you. Find out what you like to do and continue to do it. Find out what you don't like to do and fire yourself from that and hire somebody to do it.
Mm-hmm. Now, that goes down a whole different road of how to hire people. And I would bring back to last week on my episode, Kathleen Black joined me, a friend of mine as well. And she's a coach, a big-time coach for real estate teams. And we talked about hiring people. So I agree with you there as well, right? Find what you like. And much the same too. If you can't hire somebody or if you're not prepared to hire somebody, understand much the same too, though. Just like your dad said, there's going to be things you've got to do that you're just not going to enjoy. Right. It is what it is. But tell me this, so when we're building the brand then, and we're talking about, letting people in and getting people to understand more about who we are as people so we can attract the right people, we can stand out, that art of differentiation. When I look at my brand, and oftentimes, again, a brand is sort of broken back down to like a set of colors and a logo. We know that's not what a brand is anymore these days. That's what it used to be back in the old days. Now it's really about what is the voice, what is the feel, what is the message I'm getting, what is the environment, the culture of that look like. So now I bring it right back. And again, I'll just continue to use myself as an example here and say, sure. I'm selling real estate, I'm doing my thing, and I've got this logo and I've got this look and I got this feel. But Dan, do I love riding my Harley? And I know when I'm riding my Harley, and again, no, there's no secrets. Everybody's seen it. I've got bandana on and I got my leathers on or whatever. How do I bring that into my brand? And don't just use the Harley as the example right now, but overall, how do I bring my personal into the brand to the point where you're getting the same guy, the same gal, like it's the same person from what you see them enjoying. I mean, for our friends, like I know Cheryl's totally tuned in. Cheryl, we love you. Right. Being up north. Right. And they take boats to drive around to different properties. And I love that stuff. But when you're on a boat, you're definitely not going to be, dressed to the nines necessarily. Right. It's just, again, that sort of play, much the same I say on the Harley. Like, you're not going to see me in a pair of slacks and a dress shoes. Right. So how do we take that beyond the fear, and blend the two together so that people go, yep, who he, she is in that personal moment is who he, she is in that moment right here. And I'm talking now more of the specifics around it. Does the question make sense, Dave?
Yeah, it does. But you've already done it as a human being, and as a coach, and as an entrepreneur. You've already blended those two together.
Yes.
Because you're very prominent in what you do. You know, the trip you took in the summer, however many days it was,
17
and how you
days.
talk about it. How long was it?
17.
17 days, right? So
now I can tell you over 10,000 kilometers, but I know you guys down in the States, you're like,
what the hell does that mean? I don't even know. I know that.
I don't know, 7,000 miles or something.
I know
like
that 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. That's all I know. So that's the best I can do there. So my point is that you've already done it. And if you do it, and if you're going to rock the Harley, or you're going to, you know, I had a coaching client this morning. We were talking about, she's a vegan. And I said, you're a vegan realtor. How about something like that? I mean, it's really big, important to her. Hey, you know what? There's a niche market for her in that, you know? And I'm not saying the Harley is a niche market or the vegan's a niche market, but it's something for people to look at and to admire and to connect with, right? And the biggest connection for, like, say that agent is that, hey, you know, just because I'm a vegan doesn't mean I can't hang out with a person that eats steak, right? Just because you're on a Harley doesn't mean that you don't drive a car. I mean, okay,
but what about that attachment that might say, oh, he drives a Harley? I don't know. That's not the guy for me. You know, I've heard it trust me, man, I've heard it before. Oh, you know, yeah, he just doesn't seem as polished as you know, I'm hoping for.
So one of the things I said in the beginning was, if you don't have haters, you're doing something wrong. That's right. No one's going to like you. Not everyone is going to like you. Not everyone is going to care about you. If you want everybody to like you, then you need to pay everybody, and that's their job, right? And you ain't got enough money.
Hey, I said the same thing to a coach client of mine this morning. She's in Mexico right now. She's got family back home, and I suggested to her to start posting some pictures of the beach. Post pictures of the beach, post pictures of palm trees, let people know where you're at and what you're up to. And she's thought for a moment going, but then they'll know I'm not in the city doing work. Okay, so it's holiday time. People are like, she's from Mexico. So for her, but immediately she messaged me. She goes, check out my post. Checked out the post. She's got her feet in the water. She's got the waves brushing up. And I, like, right away, love, amazing.
I hate her already,
right? Like, you know, yeah. Now all of a sudden we hate them for how fortunate they are. But that's again, blending, you know, the two parts of who you are and what you do for a living.
And it differentiates you from everybody else. And you take what you are and who you are. Remember, okay, so here's two of my favorite sayings, right? And I live by this. It's not what you do, it's how you do what you do, right? When it comes to talking to people, it's not what you say, it's how you say what you say.
Yes, it is.
I can say the same sentence two different ways, and you're going to say the first one is a jerk. The second one, wow, I want to listen to this guy.
That's right.
Plain and simple. And that differentiates you as far as your brand. You are your brand. Look, we can talk about, when we talk brand, a lot of people think company. Right. Sorry. Years ago, and I used to teach this, you needed 5 yeses to get a listing. It was your company, you, the price, the marketing, and your commission, right? That's 5 yeses you needed to get a listing agreement, right? Signed. Now it's 4. It's you, the price, your marketing, and your commission. What's missing? Nobody cares about your company anymore.
Right.
How do you differentiate yourself? They're there hopefully to support you, manage you, and train you and be your TC. That's about it. It's not that important anymore.
So when we look at channels and we look at how do we get this message out there, what channels should we be using? I mean, we've talked a lot about the social media channel within examples of what we're doing today, which, you know, it plays a major role in our industry now. It is the first place people are looking, is going online. And typically speaking, yes, your LinkedIn, your Instagram, your Facebook, those profiles are what show up. So what channels should we be focused on to get out there, to connect with other people? And as I like to call it, build mindshare.
So to build mindshare, look, here's the thing. I mean, people, for the most part, your customer in the real estate business is on Facebook. More or less, they're on Facebook. Depending on, it doesn't depend on a lot, but even age, they're going to be there depending on what your age is. Because, Chris Smith said a number of years ago, internet equals Facebook, right? However, Instagram is almost as important today in your real estate business as Facebook, but not as many people are as comfortable on that channel. And there's people on Instagram that are not comfortable on Facebook, right? You look at people that have gotten rid of one or the other, but most people are going to keep Instagram. My feeling is this: you need to get good at one and then go to the next, right?
You got to be on both.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
I think so. But let's not forget the third one, YouTube. Right? If you're going to be doing YouTube, all of your stuff needs to be on that channel, and it's not really, it's not really hard to build your descriptions and your tags and all that stuff that you need to do for every video. It's not hard to do. You just need to do it, and you can set up templates for it. But it is something that if you're doing video, it needs to be on YouTube. It really does. And then, whatever's going to be easiest for you, whatever you're good at, stick to it and get really good at it, and make sure that you're consistent.
Consistent. There's that magic word again.
Yeah. Consistent and committed.
What about, so we look at, I'm not doing video. I'm scared of video. Should I be doing video?
Yep.
I got to get into it, eh?
Yeah, you got to get into it. If it's the way you look and the way you sound, forget it. That's the way you sound. That's the way you look.
Well, that's what I say to everybody. Go look in the mirror. You're
right?
the exact same person.
And here's the thing. If video bothers you, there are ways to do video where you're not on camera. You can do 80 to 90% of your video not being on camera.
100%. Now, I will say this too, though. The past 12 months of what's gone on, or 9 months, 10 months in our world with COVID, has certainly forced everybody to be working more remotely, more virtually. Yep. And therefore you need, and I will say it, you need to be leveraging video at this point.
Absolutely.
There's no question. You have to. There's no question. You've lost that opportunity to go out, go to the restaurant, go to the party. Holiday parties. How many holiday parties have you been invited to this year? Real, in person. Exactly. Just like everybody else. It's not something that people are doing right now, even though we're used to doing that. So what's the only way that you're going to partake in a holiday party and be able to see other people?
Right there, right here.
You have to get on camera.
This is it.
Right? Now, here's the beauty too, though, for everybody. And as we talk about fear being a very big underlying topic for today's conversation, as we talk about that, remember, you may be scared of camera. Again, get past it. There are certain things you can do to make it better. There are certain things you can do to practice. But do you think you are the only one right now who is scared of camera? Do you think you're the only one who is brand new to camera? Dave, I don't know if you remember, and I remember being in that session, obviously, but the video session back in San Fran 2 years ago. And it was the same thing. And I asked, how many people here, are doing video or want to do video? And it's almost like everybody's hand goes up, right? How many people here are doing video? And you must have had maybe half the room go up. And it was like, how many people here do video consistently? And you had like 10% of the room put their hand up, right? So right away, we know it's a very untapped market in terms of just connecting on camera. So that's number one. There's opportunity right there. Number two, when we look at what COVID forced us into, when we look at the fact that we are so socially distanced now, hey, everybody is just doing this for the first time. Remember the Zoom calls right off the hop in March, April, May. Everybody's getting together on Zoom, and you could tell the people that have never used Zoom before, right? You could tell. But
yes,
everybody's in that same boat. So if you still get that fear, remember, you're not alone.
No, you're not alone. It's just like everything you have a fear about, every problem that you may have, you're not alone. You're not the first person to have these fears, right? It's just, look, if you're not doing virtual walkthroughs online, if you're not doing virtual discussions, if you're not doing virtual interviews, it's a way to get your name out there. It's a way to put yourself out there. Yeah, it's a way to expose yourself. It's a great phrase I love. You've got to expose yourself in order to build income, in order to build your mind share, to build your brand. You have to be exposed.
So we use video, we use social media platforms, make sure that your website is up, your YouTube is going. Um, what else would you suggest I do to get out there and really, again, make my brand stand out with people?
You need to remember that you need to remember about what you're posting and how you're posting it. Remember, if you're making statements, it's about you. If you're asking questions, it's about them. There's no reason why you can't ask questions in posts. There's no reason why you can't say, how about this? Or here's a question for real estate agents. Today, what are you doing differently this year? Or how different is your COVID Christmas to last year? Or what's your COVID Christmas going to look like? I mean, it's
Put the
something that
question
we
out there,
all
look for engagement.
and look for engagement, right? You're going to get the engagement. I mean, I know people posting questions that are getting between 100 and 200 responses, engagements. That's amazing if you can get that. Then comes, the way to get them off thread to Messenger to a phone call. And that's how you build a business organically. See, organic isn't difficult as much as it used to be, because now there's different ways of doing it. And there's, I'm so lucky to have been involved with so many people, including you and many, many others that I've already mentioned, that I just put this whole thing together. And, you got to talk to everybody plain and simple. And there's
Just
a lot of ways.
Okay, so beyond the digital, beyond the social, beyond the video, are we agreeing here that the phone call is just as, if not more important?
Sure, because let's look at it this way. You want to be different than anybody else? You get it. And okay, I'm going to give you another thing. Snail mail, right? I'm not talking about sending a postcard to 5,000 people and that's throwing shit up against the wall and seeing what sticks. No, you send out a couple here and there. You follow up with phone calls. You get them on the phone. Guess what? You take this thing and you write a handwritten thank you note for their time on the phone. Exactly.
These two just happened to be sitting on my desk. There's a whole pile more, and I'm so grateful to be included on so many holiday lists. Okay. That said, though, when you look at this stuff is nice. You get literally, there's handwritten stuff inside of these cards from people that took a moment to put pen on paper. And I've been talking about this for a long time. We've lost the art of wishing people happy birthday. And I will say this, I am totally guilty of it as well. I leverage Facebook. To be able to wish you a happy birthday 100%. There are those times, though, where you look and say, hell, I should be sending a birthday card to that person, because, guys, and I love the fact that you brought up snail mail. If anybody's looking for some mail, go check out Kits. They do the best mail you can possibly buy. That being said, the whole thing there, though, is with mail, it is that piece, that trigger that says, look, it's tangible. Right. Somebody took a moment to put ink on paper, put the piece of paper in an envelope, lick the envelope, put a stamp on the envelope, and walk it to the mailbox. Now, I know that person, you, who's listening right now, going, yeah, but we just throw it out. Okay, cool. So I'm going to say this too. As much as we tell you to do video and we tell you to post on social media and send those emails, let's remember something. I can delete your email faster than I can junk a piece of paper, because I have to walk to the blue bin. I can scroll past your social media as even faster than I delete your email. And I can mute your video the minute I hear noise, because, oh my God, I don't want the rest of the world to know what I'm watching right now. So all of these channels, they all have impact. They all have a place. They should all be leveraged, including taking a piece of mail and sending it to somebody, because now it's just you and them. Much the same with the phone call, Dave. And I've used this example a whole bunch. You talk about my motorcycle trip, right? And you saw that on Facebook.
Yep.
And you saw what I wanted you to see.
Right. You
didn't see the other stuff. That was the stuff that when you and I were on the phone together, just shooting the shit as buddies, that was like, oh man, you should have seen there was this one night, and I tell you stories. That's just you and me. That's where we've now found commonality with each other. There's a little bit of a deeper relationship that's there, because I want to share some of these things with you as my friend. Now we have a tighter connection. The only way that happened was through that phone call.
The phone call. So let's take you just said everything. You just gave everybody a marketing plan, by the way. And Here it is, man. It's snail mail. It's the phone. It's email. It's handwritten notes. It's your posting. It's your video. It's your virtual walkthroughs. It's your market statistics videos. It's your live broadcasts. You're putting it all together. So when people go to Facebook, they see you. Hey, shit, didn't that guy send me a postcard the other day? Wow, okay. Then the next time it comes, oh, yeah, there it is. You're going to be building mindshare slowly but surely. You need to be consistent with what you're doing. You need to be consistent. You need to keep doing it every single day. David, when I go to events, when we used to go to those things called conventions and stuff.
Oh yeah, those things.
Remember those?
Yeah.
I would write down when I got there how many people I thought would come up to me and say that I didn't know to say hello to me, right?
Yeah.
I would always be wrong. I would always write down not enough, right? Because my consistency keeps growing and doing video and doing postings and everything else. People come up to you all the time. Just because you don't see the view on Facebook doesn't mean people haven't seen you.
Isn't that true, man? You know what? We look at these vanity metrics. I remember the first time I was on the radio. We've been following you for 2 years is how the email started. And I thought, I've never seen you like, comment, post, share, anything.
Exactly.
Right? So let me ask you this then. You know, I'm listening to this today. I got you. Okay. Be comfortable with who I am. Get over my fear of being able to tell the world of who I am. Okay. What should I do today then? As soon as you guys have done this podcast, what should I do?
Pick up your phone.
Yeah.
And call somebody you know and say, hey man, how you doing? Just thinking about you. What's going on?
Cool. What else can I do? We talk about the phone. Okay, let's do this. Let me ask it like this, because I love that. And I agree. And I do want to say, for the amount of times I've said it, and I will say it again, because I like to preach this broken record thing. It's important. IPAs, income producing activities, every single day. Because the minute you do your IPAs and you get those out of the way in a day, you can sit back and say, I was productive today.
Right.
But do not mistake, responding to people as IPAs. They may be income producing activities, but they're not going to be the ones that are creating the opportunity for tomorrow. Right? Because especially when you sit there and you go, oh man, and I know it's been a busy season for many people over the past number of months for some reason. Right. But at some point things do slow down a little bit. Yep. And when they slow down, we start wondering, we start, wishing, we start looking, going, oh, when's that next one coming? When are we getting the next deal? What do I got to do? And so we start thinking about, personal development and signing up with the program and learning something new. And then boom, we get the next deal come through and all of that goes to the wayside.
Yep.
That means we're not being consistent. Right? We're not being consistent about it. So, when I look at the IPAs, it's, and you said it sort of how I said it, but who are you going to call today? Have a call list. Who are you going to send an email or a text message to today? Create that list. And I'm not talking respond to them. I'm talking initiate.
Right.
What are you going to do on social media to connect with a whole bunch of new people today? And I always suggest about 20 people. Right? Because you can do, 5 on stories on Facebook, 5 on stories on Instagram, 5 on stories on your feed, or 5 on your feed on Instagram, 5 on your feed on Facebook. Like it's 20 people. It's no problem to engage with that many people. Hell, you could kill that if you spent just a few more minutes.
Right.
So we talk about IPAs. It's initiating. It's being proactive with the conversation. That would be my advice to anybody tuned in right now to say, when you come away from today's episode about how to make your brand stand out, about the art of differentiation, have that passion, know who you are.
Yeah.
Leverage the different channels to get out there and build that mind share.
Yeah. Take differentiation as being cool, as being fun. How can you be different? What can you do? What can you do that nobody else is doing, or that will piss other people off because they're not doing it?
That's right.
I love that. I mean, people won't even try to do it because they say, I'm not doing that.
Well, okay. I love what you just said. So would it piss you off if somebody you knew went and worked with somebody else? Because if it would, why you? Like I opened this whole thing with, what did you do to earn that? And it's building the relationship with people.
Right.
It's opening up and making people understand who you are and then connecting with them as who they are.
Right. Everything you do differently builds rapport and relationships with others.
Dave, Watching the clock here, and we get rambling a lot together in good constructive convo. What last words or tips can you share with everybody who's tuned in, so they can help themselves get out there, build that brand, and well, obviously build more mind share?
I want you to have a plan. I want you to know what you really want to do. You need to really know what worked, what didn't work, why it didn't work over the past 12 months, and what you're going to do to change that. But more than anything else, I mean, if you know why you're doing it is really important. Some people will say, like Michael Hellickson from Club Wealth says, is your why big enough, right? Why you're doing stuff is important. Enjoying what you do is also important. So I'm going to tell you, when you need to do something that's uncomfortable, just say, what's the worst that could happen? I'm living by that question every day now. It's really helped me. Because look, we all have to build our businesses. Did I just lose you?
No, I'm here.
We all have to build our businesses, right? And this is one of the ways we do it, by communication. Look, here's the thing. A buddy of mine, Nick Krem, says the difference between contact and contract is the R. That R stands for relationship. You've heard that before.
I love that.
Right.
I love that one. Dave, where can people find you?
They can find me on Facebook at Dave Fanale. They can also look at realestateskillbuilder.com. You can see that behind me. That is my website. I am very findable. I actually do believe in having my phone number and my email address on my personal Facebook, which 90% of realtors don't know and don't understand, but you need to do it, because how are people going to find you? Anyway, that's where they find me. I'm an open book. I'm easy to find. I will tell you things you may not like, though, if you talk to me, because I'm blunt.
Well, it's always very much appreciated, and I know that there's a massive following of folks out there that entrust in you and believe in you. I am very much right at the top of that list as well.
Sure.
I'm grateful for the connection. I'm I don't know how or why the stars aligned a couple of years back in San Fran, but they certainly did. And once again, just very grateful for the connection with you, my friend. Thank you very much for being here today, and for all the insights that you shared. A very Merry Christmas to you. A happy holidays to the family, and all the best for 2021. Obviously, there's a lot more in store for what we're up to.
Yeah, I just want to add one more thing. I mean, I do my broadcast on Fridays at 11 a.m. Eastern. It's called Real Estate Talk TGIF. And this man right here, Dave Greenspan, is going to be my #1 guest on the new year, on January 1, New Year's Day. Yes.
Hey, you know what, man? I'm excited for that. Let me talk to that for a quick moment, okay?
Sure.
I want to bring that one up, because when we were trying to plan that, I said to you, we're not sure if we're going out of town or what's going on at holidays, right?
Right.
And when we realized that there was we're not going anywhere, it then becomes this thing, and this is just normal thought for anybody, but I want to take some time off. I want to relax. I want to take that moment to say, you know what? No, I'm going to turn everything off for a second. But then there was this conversation that you have inside your head, and it says, well, and this is something I want everybody to really pay attention to, is what are you waiting for, right? When everybody else is about to get started a week later, why are you waiting till everybody else starts? How are you ever going to stand out and be different if you do what everybody else is doing? Yeah. So you know what? I'm looking forward to an amazing 2021. 2020 has been, forget about all the BS that happened. It has been a wicked, wicked year. I cannot wait for the new year. And you know what? I'm excited to get it started off on a real high note with you, my friend.
Thank you so much. It's going to be fun. It's just going to be a conversation just like this is. And that's what it should be, right? Nothing planned, nothing set up. We're going to talk about a lot of good things, have some fun.
I'm looking forward to it, buddy. Thank you again, Dave.
Welcome, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're either listening to this on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Stitcher, or Spotify. Or maybe you downloaded our free Industry Syndicate podcast app, or maybe you went to my website, mindshare101.com. And while you're on my site, make sure to download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle for Realtors. This is a 31-page ebook packed with a ton of tips and tricks for you. Plus, there's a ready-to-go 90-day social media content calendar to help you build more mind share so that you can get more market share. And if you want to talk about personalized one-to-one coaching to help you get to your next level, just get in touch with me. We'll set up a free consultation call. We'll learn more about what you're looking to achieve and, well, how I will help you do just that. And don't forget our push to 100 is on. So be sure to go to iTunes, subscribe to the show, leave a review, rate us, and you will be entered into a free draw for a free month of one-to-one coaching with me. And of course, if you haven't yet, connect with me on Facebook at Mindshare101 and on Instagram at DavidGreenspan101. I want to once again thank our sponsor, Kits Keep in Touch Systems, for sponsoring today's episode. If you haven't checked them out yet, just go to my site and click on Marketing. I wish you all a very happy holidays, all the best for the new year. This has been another episode of the Mindshare Podcast. Thank you for tuning in.